Hi friends, we'll start the demo. So on the screen you are seeing the software STM32CubeIDE. This is a software by ST Microelectronics used to program all the microcontrollers of ST Microelectronics. So let's start with the new project. I'll start with the new STM32 project. Sometimes it does takes time, so it is now initializing. This window we are shown, we can select the microcontroller which we are programming on, but since I am doing the development board, I am programming on a development board, I will directly go to the board selector and select the Nucleo G071RB, that board which I am using for programming Modbus slave RTU. So let's click next. I will give a name. Let's name it chapter 01 underscore Modbus RTU sleep. Okay. So we'll try to maintain chapter wise all the projects. Will not change anything over here. If you are trying it for the first time, the project creation takes some time, and since we are using a development board, we will keep all the peripherals in their default mode. So the project initializes, and if it is so once the project is created, the first screen we are going to see is the pin configuration, as well as we can configure all the peripherals here on the left hand side. I will minimize this. Okay. So since this is a development board, many pins are pre-configured, like PA5 is configured for a green LED, a small LED on the board. PA2, PA3 are pre-configured for the USART, that is the RS232. So we are going to use this USART2 for our example, and PC14, PC15 are the oscillators connected, and we will not go through these pins in deep. We will just configure our USART2. So our USART2 will be in asynchronous mode. RS232 hardware flow control is disabled. We will enable the global interrupt, and in the parameter settings we will set our baud rate to 9600. We'll keep the 8 bits, parity none, stop bit will be 1 bit, and data direction will receive data from master and also will transmit. So our data direction will be receive and transmit. And clock prescaler, we will set the clock prescaler as divide by 8. Rest all settings we will not go into them, we will not touch them. And coming to the clock configuration, this Nucleo board consists of a 16 megahertz internal oscillator and the external oscillator, which is 32.768 kilohertz. We are not using this external oscillator for this example, we will use the internal oscillator. And the G071RB microcontroller is capable of running at 64 megahertz. So we'll run at the maximum speed. So the calculation is done in this. In the code generation, we will not change anything, we will ensure that these are HAL selected. HAL means hardware abstraction library. These are like a skin layer programming tools which are developed pre-programmed by the STM. Rest all, that's it. Now we will generate the code. So we have to remember that during generation of this code generates only those things which are related to our configuration, what we did in this configuration. Like we configure some pins, uh, maybe input output, like that. So only for that it generates the code. So once that is generated, we can see our code in the main C. Some files are created, these three header files are created, and some C files are created. Now I'll just minimize this. So now we can see that many things are pre-configured. So we just need to concentrate on our implementation code. We need not worry about this peripheral configuration. One thing, only extra thing to be done is in the USART initialization function, we have to add the receive interrupt enable. By default, receive interrupt is not enabled. So we'll enable of USART2. That happens using USART2. This is the register which to which we are writing this code, and we are writing value 1 at bit number 5. So, and also remember that whenever we try to put integers, let's be specific here. U means unsigned integer, it is not signed. So we'll save our code. Now for Modbus implementation, we need to define some variables. So we will define in main.h, and whenever, since we are writing our own code also, always write our we should write our code between the user code and begin and user code end over here. So user our code should be between user code begin user code end. It can be any code, because if we want to configure some more peripherals, like if suppose I want to say I do not want this LED, so I'll put it to reset state. Okay, so now if I now since I have configured this, what you say, the receive interrupt receive interrupt, I included it in between user code begin user code end. So this code should not go away. So let's see. I'll no need to close also. I will regenerate the code. So the software regenerates the code, and over here it will see that the code which is kept under user code is preserved. So this is a major thing to be taken care, or else our work will go in vain. So now coming to variable declarations. Now we'll declare some variables in the so we'll declare variables in main.h. So again we'll search for any user code begin. Yeah, so we have this region, so we'll put our code at the beginning. So at the beginning, okay, at the end. So there are few variables, like we'll go through one by one. So the first variable is my slave id, means we will define a slave id for this microcontroller, and maximum frame size we are saying 255. Okay, and again u unsigned integer. As per Modbus standard, Modbus master can request a maximum of 125 holding registers. So we will see, while doing the algorithm, we will check whether Modbus master has requested the proper amount of holding registers or not. And again we will put the register offset of 40,001. We will not go into lakhs, we will see, we will be in thousands. So 40,001 means Modbus masters suppose request function code number 3, address number 4. Okay, this means actual register number is 40,001. I'll say you. So suppose example, register function code 3, address 04 is equal to Modbus register number 40,001 plus 4 is equal to 40,005. So actually we are requesting data for we will request data for Modbus register number 40,005. So this concept of offset is very important to differentiate between the Modbus address and Modbus register number. So whenever I will say Modbus register number, so we should say that it is 40,001, 40,002, 40,003, and whenever I will say the function code name and address, we should split this 40,001 means 40,000 is the start for Modbus function code 3, and add register number 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. 4 is the address number. So I'll clear this. Next is we are declaring one variable to calculate the response frame, whatever response frame size the slave generates, so that we are capturing in this variable. And this is the now coming to the next variable is very important variable data in, and this is a character array. And character array, it will we will use this variable to capture the data which we receive from the master Modbus master on the RS-232. So how we will do that, let's see. And data position, just to um, increment the index of this data underscore in array. A small temporary unsigned integer array I have created just to with simulating, instead of simulating many things. So I have this data, we will assume that these values are sensor values, maybe from a pressure transmitter or some these are all unsigned integer and not floating point. So we'll keep them as it is at present. So we'll use them and we will verify our data in the Modbus master during our simulation. Next I will do some function prototypes declaration. In C we have to declare function prototype before using them, so I will add them here. Okay, I will save my data. So the work of main H is done. Now at bottom we have enabled USART to receive interrupt enable. So in the interrupt routine, what we have to do is whenever there is a data on the RS-232 port, we have to capture that data into our character array, that is data in. So that capturing process happens whenever there is a interrupt. This is like an event. Interrupt is like an event. So once, so I'll do that. Okay, now again I am putting my code between user code begin and user code end. We should always remember to put our code between user code begin user code end. At the in the consecutive videos we will try to avoid these automatic code generation and write our own code to build the complete project. And this will, that's called bare metal programming. That is actually the basics of microcontroller programming. We should not depend on these external programs. We should try to understand the basics and the addresses registers of the microcontroller, and we will try to program that as we go through our videos. Next we will have add two C files. One file is to define the CRC, one is to calculate the CRC. Okay, this CRC code is nothing new, means I did not develop it from myself. This crc code is present in the modbus standard itself, so I'm just using that code. So I'll just paste that code from the modbus standard I have used. I will save my work. Okay, next second file I will create is the modbus processing, means whatever whenever I receive data from the modbus master, I will read that and process it. Just these we can build our code in one C file. There is no problem at all. Only thing, segregation will be easier to understand our code, and we can make our code modular. So modbus processor.c. Now I'll add the code here. Okay, and save my code and close this modbus processor. Don't worry about what I'm pasting. You can find the code on the github link I provided in the description. And also while debugging also, we'll come to know what is the function of that code. And finally in the main code, we should continuously check for the modbus master message. So that happens to the interrupt, and once that is received, we will process. And once the reception is done, we will again be at the beginning of checking the new data. So we'll put that code in the while loop, and it's between the user code begin and user code end. Oh sorry, I did not put it in between the user code begin. I'll say user code begin, user code end. Yeah, over here I will decorate it. Okay. Okay, with this our means code is done. Let's try to build it. Whether for any errors, we'll check if there are any errors. Since we are building for the first time, it takes all the files associated with this. And yes, so there is one error. Yeah, in the receive interrupt enable, I did a mistake. I did not include cr1. It's a control register one. So let's build again. Yes, so zero errors. Even warnings, we should try to minimize them. Let's see what is the warning. Holding register is defined but not used. Yes, so we intentionally created this temporary register, so no problem. So now before starting the debugging and checking it, I would like to means go through again, like we'll check continuously whether I am receiving 8 bytes or not. So the this step and this step, these two steps are done in that while loop. So these two steps are included in that while loop, that like I will show you in this while loop. I am continuously checking whether my data position, as I said, this data position will be used to store the data in the data in character array. So I am checking whether I received 8 bytes, and also checking whether that received data in the first byte contains slave address, so whether it is addressed to me or not. I'll process only if these conditions are true. And as soon as see that there are 8 or more bytes received, and the data received to is for me only, then I will simply clear the data pose variable and start processing the data. So I'm using a switch statement wherein I'm checking the first byte, that is zeroth and first index, means second byte of the received data with its function code. So since we are implementing the holding register first, so I have directly put case as 03, that data in the first index of the data in will contain 03 hex value. So yes, if I receive that, only then I will start processing. If I do not receive, I will send the exception code 1. Though function code 1, 2 and others are present in the Modbus standard, but they are not present with my microcontroller. So I will not accept that function code, and I have to inform the master that yes, these function codes are not supported with me. So that's this is the first step we are doing, whether function code is supported or not. So if that is supported, from here onwards we are processing the function. So this complete data is in the process Modbus process, and till here we check that this is in the switch statement. I'll put a different code. So the switch statement is done, and initially we have checked whether I received 8 bytes data is received to me. So this function code support onwards is actually a part of Modbus standard. So, and in the process register, I'll click F3. So it processes the register, and this is the final function for the holding register, wherein we have supporting functions to it, which we have created in the mb underscore process.c. So we'll go through it. So as our code is built without any error, now we will connect the microcontroller through the USB board. I will put a photo of how the connection is done to the PC. Yes, so that is detected now. Now I will not run the program directly. I will first debug, and let's try to understand the code. Then we will also check. In the first 50 debug process, we are checking what the Modbus slave received, how we are extracting data, and how we are preparing the response, and how we will send the response finally to the Modbus master. So in this debug process we will do uh, the slaves part, means what is the functions, whether it is performing properly or not, and many more things are there to be taken care. So that we will try to implement in our subsequent videos. So this video is only to understand the basic function, and it is to give you an idea to develop more. So let's start the debug process. I'm clicking the debug for the first time. For the first time it will open the debug edit configuration. It will see the debugger what is connected. If you, since I'm using the standard board, these all are detected automatically. I don't know what happens with any other third party debuggers. So let's start it. So once I start the debugging, the code is loaded again, and this window changes like this. In between I have the code, on the left I have some variables, okay, on the right also I have variables and many more options to select. So this is the actual assembly language code written converted from C language by the compiler, and also the peripherals which we configure, like since we are configuring USART2, there are total 4 RS232 ports. So we are using the third RS232 port, and by default it comes and halts at the start of main function. So what I will do, I will not go through the debugging of each function. I will simply run till while loop. I'll click right click and say run to slide, that is control R. So I have checked. Now I am continuously waiting here. I will step in using the step into F5 function. So I will step in Yes, that condition is false, so it did not go into that if loop. So it is continuously checking for the data whether this value is more than 8. No, it is 0. And whether I the data received is equal to my slave id or not. So since that is not the case, so it will continuously poll the data. Now for Modbus simulation, master Modbus simulation as the master, I am using simply Modbus. This is the software I am using. So let's check. Okay, so this is simply Modbus master. Let's request some data. Already I requested some data, we'll clear that. Okay, so we'll request four registers. Okay, four register values starting from register number 40,005. Okay, and putting an option. Since this is a simulator, we have to put values as a programmer point of view and not the user end point of view. So, and we'll also say function code 3. We are using only 1 byte for slave id detection, so we will not use this 2 byte id. If I say 2 byte id, one more byte will be added. So we are not using 2 byte id, we'll keep only 1 byte. So this message will be transferred to the our microcontroller. So the first value, as we know, as we have discussed, that the address field goes first, the last bit will be the crc. So this 11, you might be wondering, here the slave id is 7 and why here 11 is shown. So whatever message you are seeing here is displayed in hexadecimal value. So to understand that, let's open the calculator. So in the calculator, let's try to decode each one. We'll decode from hex and verify it in decimal. So I have the calculator in programmer mode. Okay, then in hex I will write 11. So that is decimal equivalent to 17. Decimal means the mathematics which we do in our daily life. And the second byte is 03. So it is 03. In decimal also it is 3. So this is the function code. Okay, and next, this is the first register is 40,005, but it is minus 40,001. So the value is 0. Hex 00 is 00. Hex 04 is decimal 4. This means 2 bytes are allocated for the source address, the start address we can say, and 2 bytes are allocated for the number of registers. So the higher byte consists the since we are requesting data in 4, so again hex 4 is 4. The last 2 bytes are the error calculations, that is crc calculation sent by the master. So what we have to do is I just need to click on this button send, and data will be coming over here. But and as soon as I get the data, see here, now we are seeing that in the data in, the value is blank. So we will see some data over here. So how we will see that? Through the interrupt which we have programmed in the interrupt handler. Uh, and one more thing is this data 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 8 bytes are there. So as soon as I click send, 8 bytes does not go over rs232 at once. rs232 transfers 1 byte at a time. So 8 times that interrupt routine is invoked, and after that the data position variable, that's why we are checking with the value 8. So once that occurs, this if loop will be true and it will enter inside this loop. So what I will do, I'll put a breakpoint here so that we will not lose it, or else the once that condition is true, it will execute and send the data also to the master, and it's within fraction, we cannot see it. I'll first resume the code, means it is running, it is not stopped. So now I will, okay, I have verified everything. Okay, since I am receiving my data is intended for unsigned integer, it is the master's responsibility to represent the received data. So here whatever result I will receive, I expect that this is unsigned integer. Okay, so let's start and let's see what happens once the data is received and we try to change the data type. Okay, so now I will click send. So as soon as I clicked send, since we inserted a breakpoint here, so the program came here and halted. Now here we will verify our data in variable. So we received here 17 decimal, this value is in decimal. So we received 17, that is our slave id. We received in the second index data in 1 is the 3 function code 3. In the third index we can compare it, it is 0, so it is 0. The fourth index, its value 4, the value is 4. In the fifth and sixth index is 0 4. In the last two index 0 7, yes it is 7. And 58 is represented as in decimal 88. Let's see that, I'll show you. 58, so decimal value is 88. Now we are processing, we first of all we received 8 bytes and we have also cleared it, and we have said that this is equivalent to my slave id. So now the if loop is true, we entered into the if loop. Next, using the switch statement, we are checking what is in the data in first index. So in the data in first index we have 3, that is hexadecimal 3. This is equivalent to this case. So I'll go into the loop and this case is true. So I'll start with the Modbus processing register function, wherein I am sending the same function code as an argument to that function. So I'll step in. I'm using this function step into F5 using F5. Now first of all, in the Modbus processing, we are counting how many registers the master has requested. So for that we have used one more function called MB register count. So in this function, the data in index number 4 and 5 are used for returning the register count. Here we can see that Modbus master is requesting 4 registers. And next we are checking whether this register count, requested register count is within the limits or not. So first of all, it should be equal to or more than 1, and also the requested register count should be within the limit specified in the Modbus standards, that is 125. Moreover, the data which we are going to send is 16 bits. So if suppose as it requested 4 registers, so we will require 16 bytes, sorry 16 bits, that is 2 bytes each for each. So 4 into 2 is, we will require 8 bytes. So we need to check whether this temporary data in array can accommodate this response or not. So excluding the CRC field, the slave ID field and the function code field. function code contains 1 byte, the CRC contains 2 bytes, a total 3, and the slave ID contains 1 byte, 4, and the slave sends a response called number of registers. How many, sorry, number of bytes, how many bytes I am sending back to the master, that contains 1 byte. So total, out of that 5 bytes, we are checking whether the data which we want to send is within our array or not. So since we are requesting 4 registers and we are sending 8 bytes for that, so it is well within our scope. We have total 255 bytes of size, so this goes true. Now we are checking the start address. Start address, as I said, is in the second and third byte. So we are not talking about the register number, we are talking about the start address, that is 4 of function code number 3. And we are also counting the n register. So 4 plus 4 is 8, so we'll, and including the fourth register, so from address number 4, 5, 6, 7, so end address is 7. Now we are checking whether the end address which Modbus master requested, whether our device has that or not. It is not compulsory that we should include all the range of the Modbus address. Like so, we can have only three sensors which accommodate holding registers. So we can have 0, 1, 2 indexes, 0, 1, 2 as the addresses. So we are checking in this step. Even if this does not happen, that is also an exception as per the Modbus standards. That is exception number 2, saying that it is an illegal data address is requested by the master. So it is well within the range. Now we are, since everything is done, we completed, we checked whether the register count is within the range. We have checked the start address also. We have checked the start address and the register count is okay. Okay. Thereafter, now we are processing the data. So the processing of the data, what data it sends back is the slave id. It sends back the slave id and the function code it sends back. In the third data byte, it sends the number of uh, bytes the slave is sending to the master. So we'll check. So we can see that in data in 2 index, the value is 8, means the slave is sending 8 bytes. Now using these three functions, we will append data to this data in array. We will append CRC fields to this array, and finally we will send data whatever size is created. So let's check that. Now we are appending data. In this we are appending 8 bytes. 4 registers is equal to 8 bytes, so we are appending data as per the addresses. So we'll verify this whether this is correct or not. Once that appending is done, we'll verify that. So this shows that after the data in 2, so data in 3 and 4 corresponds to the first address value, means the fourth address value. 5 and 6 corresponds to the fifth address value. 6 and 7 corresponds to the sixth address value. Ninth and 10 corresponds to the seventh address value. So till now we have accommodated 10 till from index number 0 to index number 10 of the data in variable. Next we will append the CRC. This CRC should be appended at index number 11 and 12. So this appending CRC, and for CRC, as I said, we have created one C file called CRC processing. This is a standard function mentioned in the Modbus standard protocols. So we'll not go into it much. I'll simply run till the end. I'll say run to line or control R, and the CRC calculated we will see in the function. So the calculated CRC value is hex A650, hexadecimal A650, wherein the A6 is called the high byte and 50 is called the low byte. So high byte is stored at the end, low byte is stored first. So using this, so we can see that 80 is stored, that is 50, A6 A5. So 50 is the lower byte stored first, then the higher byte is stored next, that is A6. And finally we are calculating the response frame. This data in is complete, the size is 256 from 0 to 255, but we only have to send the data from index number 0 to index number 12, that is size 13. So here we are calculating the complete frame size, and that frame size goes as 13. So we will send only these 13 bytes back to the master, and in the last function we are sending the data to the USART. So let's step in. I'm pressing F5 key to use this function step into. So finally here we are sending the data, how many, and as an argument we passed we the frame size variable, that is 13. So now we'll check from index number 0 till 12, till the C is less than 12 in the for loop, and we are continuously sending the data. Here we are checking whether the transmit buffer is empty, and once that is empty we are putting our value into the buffer. Once we put it into the buffer, the master, since this is connected, it will take the value. Now we will not really go into this function, because now the master is not expecting data, it has already timed out, so it is not expecting the data. So even if I send, it will be in the buffer, but it will not be received by the Modbus master. So we will continuously get stuck at this while loop only. So once this loop is done, it will come back to this if loop, and it will terminate and this MB process registers function and come back to this switch routine. And since our response is also given to the master, and it will again check for the data continuously. Now we will, since we did the debugging session, now we will check using actual run. I will remove all the breakpoints first if there are any breakpoints. Okay, so I will now say run. Instead of debug, I will say run. So when I click run, the program gets loaded into the microcontroller and the debugger gets disconnected. Now let's see. I am requesting the same data. I will verify from this result whether the register actual register value has been transferred here or not. Okay, same number of data, 4 registers. I'll send the request. I received the data. Now I will compare it with our holding registers variable, whether we received correct data or not. So this is register number 40,005, means address number 4. So address number 4 consists of index number 4. The variable array variable starts array index starts from 0. So this is 0 1 2 3 4, and from this fourth index 4 registers 1 2 3 4. So these 4 values should be present in our response, that is 53844, yes, 7596, yes, 50869, yes, 64892. Now as I also said that the masters will represent that data. Like suppose if I say 16-bit int, it did not affect this one. Let's try this one. Yeah. So when I said when the master is configured with a different data type, the result gets changed very drastically. So it is master's responsibility to know, to keep in mind that what data type I am requesting. So with this, we have completed the holding registers demonstration. Hope you liked it and you will keep on learning with me. And thank you very much.